So if we want to solve an equation that has an absolute value, we're really asking ourselves, what do we want the yellow part, the inside of the absolute value to be, to make it equal, in this case, 12. So we just said that we want the yellow to be either the number 12 or negative 12, because if the yellow turns into the number 12 and I take the absolute value of it, it'll give me 12. But also if I make the yellow turn into the number negative 12 and I take the absolute value, it'll be 12. So to find the numbers that's going to make that happen, we're going to set the yellow equal to 12 and equal to negative 12. This one is going to find me the x that's going to make this equal 12. And this equation is going to find me the number that's going to make the inside of that equal negative 12. So to solve that, I'm going to get the variable by itself by subtracting 9 from both sides, leaving me with 3x on the left equals, and then 12 minus 9 is 3. Get rid of multiply by 3 by dividing by 3. And so we end up with x equals 1. So if I substitute 1 back in the original, the yellow turns into the number 12, and the absolute value of 12 is 12. Okay, so then I'm going to find the x that's going to make the yellow equal negative 12. So to solve, I'm going to subtract 9. What I do to one side, I do to the other. I have 3x left on the left-hand side. Bring down the equal sign. Negative 12 minus 9 is negative 21. Now to get rid of the multiply by 3, I'm going to divide by 3. And negative 21 divided by positive 3 is negative 7. Again, what we found is the number that if I substitute it into the yellow, it's going to make inside of there negative 12. In this example, if I want to find, like, what number do I want the yellow to turn into?
0.
I am going to want it to be 0. And so if I want that to be 0, to find it, I'm going to set the yellow equal to 0. And there's only one number that is 0 away from 0, so that's why this time we're only going to have one equation, whereas this one we had 2 equations, because there's 2 numbers that I can take the absolute value of to get to 12. Okay, so we'll subtract 10. Nice job, Jonathan. Subtract 10, and then I'm going to divide by 2, and I end up with negative 5.
I got it right.
Okay. Then the last example, notice so far our absolute value equaled a positive number. So we set what's inside the absolute value equal to both 12 and negative 12. We had the absolute value equal 0. So we set what was inside equal to 0. And then if I look at this one here and we think, well, what would we want the yellow to be so that the absolute value of that number is negative 10? Well, what does an absolute value do to the number? It's going to make it positive. So this, it's impossible. There's no number that I could make, that I could put inside the absolute value and have the absolute value of that number be negative 10, because the answer to absolute values are positive, which means this one is no solution.